In today's video, we'll uncover 10 evident signs that an evil person might be lurking near you, inspired by timeless wisdom from Stoic philosophy. Learn how to recognize toxic behaviors, safeguard your peace of mind, and maintain your virtue in a world filled with hidden dangers. If you're ready to see the truth, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive in. Number 1. The illusion of charm. The illusion of charm is a powerful, yet often deceptive force, one that holds sway over human interactions and perceptions. At its core, charm is an art of making others feel special, of drawing them in with a carefully constructed combination of wit, warmth, and allure. It can be an innate trait, something that some individuals are naturally gifted with, or it can be honed, crafted through years of social learning and experience. But what often gets lost in the dazzling effect of charm is the realization that it can be superficial, an illusion designed to mask deeper insecurities, manipulations, or even personal agendas. Charm, in its most superficial form, is a technique, a way to present oneself in the most flattering light, often without revealing the full depth of one's character or intentions. The illusion of charm works because it taps into universal human desires, the need for acceptance, validation, and connection. When someone exudes charm, they seem to possess a magnetic quality, making those around them feel seen, heard, and understood. It can make others feel like they are the center of attention, like they have a special place in the charmer's world. This feeling is intoxicating, creating a sense of warmth and attraction that draws people closer. It is a delicate dance of attention and flattery, where words are carefully chosen, gestures are practiced, and emotions are carefully managed to project an image of confidence, kindness, or charisma. However, charm is often more about surface-level appeal than true substance. When we are enchanted by someone's charm, we may overlook the cracks in their personality, their lack of sincerity, or their hidden agendas. In relationships, whether professional, romantic, or casual, a charming individual can easily divert attention from their true intentions, leaving others to follow along without question. This ability to charm can be used to manipulate, to gain favors, or to secure advantages without ever having to reveal one's true self. This is where the illusion lies. What appears to be genuine warmth and authenticity can, in fact, be an expertly crafted facade. The danger of this illusion is not just in being deceived, but in becoming addicted to the feeling of being charmed. It is easy to fall into a trap where charm is equated with worth, where we confuse surface-level attraction with deeper connection. Over time, this can lead to a shallow understanding of relationships, where we prioritize the charm of others over their actual character. We begin to value charisma over trustworthiness, charm over integrity, and appearance over substance. This dynamic can create toxic environments, where authenticity is sacrificed for the sake of maintaining an image, and where people are valued for their ability to entertain or please, rather than for their true selves. Moreover, the illusion of charm often hides the insecurities of the individual behind the mask. Those who rely on charm to get by may struggle with self-doubt or fear of rejection, which they cover up with their polished, attractive persona. The charm becomes a coping mechanism, a way to distract others from the vulnerabilities that lie beneath. In some cases, those who are most charming may be the most fragile, their self-esteem hinged on the approval and admiration of others. This reveals the paradox at the heart of charm. While it can make others feel special, it often leaves the charmer feeling empty and unfulfilled. In a world that increasingly values superficial connections and appearances, the illusion of charm remains an enticing force. However, it is crucial to recognize that true connection and understanding go beyond charm. Genuine relationships are built on authenticity, trust, and mutual respect. The illusion of charm may be enticing in the short term, but it cannot sustain meaningful connections over time. It is the deeper, more authentic qualities that create lasting bonds, ones that cannot be easily replaced by a well-placed compliment or a magnetic smile. Ultimately, the challenge is to see beyond the illusion of charm and to seek relationships where true substance rather than mere appearance forms the foundation. Number 2. A heart without empathy. A heart without empathy is like a barren landscape, devoid of the lush connections that nourish relationships and build bridges between people. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is the cornerstone of compassion, kindness, and social cohesion. Without empathy, individuals become isolated from the emotional currents that flow through human interactions, unable to recognize the pain, joy, or struggles of those around them. This lack of empathy can transform a person's heart into a cold, unyielding fortress where the emotional needs of others are ignored or dismissed. The absence of empathy leads to a life lived in a narrow, self-centered world, where the focus is solely on one's own thoughts, desires, and frustrations. It fosters an environment where personal achievements are celebrated without consideration for the sacrifices made by others, and where conflicts are exacerbated because the emotional impact on others is not acknowledged. When empathy is missing, communication falters. Relationships, whether with family, friends, or colleagues, become shallow and transactional, rooted more in convenience than in emotional understanding. This absence can create an undercurrent of resentment and misunderstanding, as people feel invisible or invalidated. The person lacking empathy might struggle to form genuine connections, unable to engage with the vulnerability of others in a meaningful way. In some cases, a heart without empathy can manifest in callous behavior, where individuals consciously or unconsciously disregard the suffering of others. This can lead to patterns of neglect, exploitation, or even cruelty, as the emotional pain of others is seen as irrelevant or unworthy of attention. In extreme cases, the lack of empathy can contribute to societal issues such as systemic inequality, prejudice, and violence, as people are less likely to care about or advocate for the well-being of those who are different from them or in need of support. The world, with all its complexity and diversity, demands an openness to understanding others. Without empathy, the rich tapestry of human experience becomes one-dimensional, reducing the potential for growth and mutual respect. The inability to empathize stifles creativity, cooperation, and progress. It leads to an emotional detachment that can prevent the kind of collective action needed to tackle global challenges, from poverty to environmental crises. The power of empathy lies not only in its ability to create personal bonds, but also in its capacity to bring about change on a larger scale. A society that values empathy is one that promotes justice, equity, and compassion. It is a world where people are seen, heard, and understood, where the emotional and physical well-being of individuals is a shared concern. Empathy fosters a sense of interconnectedness, reminding us that we are all part of the same human experience. However, empathy is not an inherent trait that everyone possesses in equal measure. It is a skill that can be cultivated and nurtured. In a world where individualism often takes precedence over collective well-being, it is essential to prioritize empathy as a tool for personal and social transformation. A heart without empathy is capable of functioning, but it will never know the richness of connection that comes with understanding the pain and joy of others. It is only through the active practice of empathy that we can transcend the limitations of self-interest and create a more compassionate world. In the end, empathy is not just a passive feeling, but a dynamic force that shapes our actions, choices, and interactions. It is the key to a fuller, more meaningful existence, one that is anchored in shared humanity and a deep appreciation for the emotional lives of others. A heart without empathy may survive, but it will never thrive. Number 3. Hidden jealousy unveiled. Jealousy is an emotion that has long been a subject of literature, philosophy, and psychology, often depicted as a destructive force that can tear relationships apart. However, the most insidious form of jealousy is not always the overt kind that is easy to spot. It is the hidden jealousy that lurks beneath the surface, camouflaged by a smile, a compliment, or even an outward display of friendship. This subtle emotion is often dismissed or unnoticed, making it all the more dangerous. It manifests in ways that are often not immediately recognizable, creeping into conversations, body language, and the way individuals interact with one another. The reality is that hidden jealousy is a quiet but powerful force that can unravel even the strongest of bonds, leaving behind a trail of confusion and hurt. The seeds of hidden jealousy often begin with comparisons, whether in terms of achievements, appearances, or status. It might start innocuously enough, with an innocent remark or a passing observation, but over time, it grows into something more poisonous. The person experiencing the jealousy may convince themselves that they are simply being cautious or protective, but the underlying bitterness grows in silence. It is a constant whisper in their mind, telling them that they are somehow less than the person they envy. Unlike overt jealousy, which may trigger confrontations or outbursts, hidden jealousy keeps its host trapped in a quiet, internal struggle. One of the key features of hidden jealousy is its ability to masquerade as kindness. A jealous individual may shower their rival with compliments, pretending to be supportive, all the while harboring negative feelings. This behavior is often referred to as passive-aggressive, as it allows the jealous person to avoid direct confrontation while still nurturing their resentment. The outward act of kindness becomes a mask that hides the jealousy, making it difficult for others to recognize the true intent. This duality, of being outwardly friendly while inwardly bitter, creates a toxic dynamic where trust is eroded and genuine relationships become hard to maintain. Often, hidden jealousy manifests through subtle sabotage. It can be as small as undermining someone's achievements, spreading rumors, or making backhanded comments. It can even be reflected in the way one avoids celebrating another person's success, dismissing it as unimportant or undeserving. These actions are not as blatant as a direct attack, but their cumulative effect can be devastating. The recipient of this hidden jealousy is left feeling confused, questioning whether their accomplishments were ever truly celebrated or if they were simply tolerated. In some cases, hidden jealousy can also lead to self-doubt. The person who is the target of jealousy might not even realize they are being envied. They may think their accomplishments are being overshadowed by their own insecurities, or that they are not as deserving as others perceive them to be. This self-doubt, fueled by the subtle undermining behavior of the jealous individual, can lead to a dangerous spiral of insecurity. The victim of hidden jealousy may eventually distance themselves from others, unsure who they can trust or whether their relationships are genuine. As dangerous as hidden jealousy is, it often remains unchecked because it is not seen as a significant problem. People tend to brush it off as harmless, or even as a reflection of personal insecurity rather than a behavior that can cause deep emotional harm. Yet, this form of jealousy is often more damaging than open resentment, as it is insidious and difficult to confront. It can poison a relationship without ever being fully acknowledged, and its effects are long-lasting. The individuals who harbor hidden jealousy often never express their feelings directly, leaving the other party to wonder why the relationship feels strained or why they can no longer trust those around them. Ultimately, the veil of hidden jealousy can only be lifted when it is recognized for what it truly is, a sign of insecurity, fear, and unaddressed emotional pain. If left unaddressed, it will continue to erode the foundations of any relationship, whether personal or professional. It is only by acknowledging and confronting jealousy, whether within oneself or in others, that healing and resolution can take place. As with any other toxic emotion, the path to recovery lies in self-awareness, honest communication, and a commitment to fostering genuine support for others. Only then can the harmful effects of hidden jealousy be truly unveiled and cast aside. Number 4. Deception without remorse. Deception without remorse is an unsettling and complex trait that cuts to the heart of human morality. It speaks to a deliberate and calculated distortion of truth, crafted not out of necessity but for personal gain, control, or manipulation, with no remorse for the damage caused. This kind of deception can manifest in various forms, from the small lies told to avoid conflict to the grand, systemic lies that affect entire societies or organizations. But what distinguishes this particular form of deceit is the absence of guilt, the cold and unwavering nature of the deception itself. A person who deceives without remorse is often driven by self-interest, power, or an overwhelming sense of entitlement. Their actions are not guided by empathy or compassion, but by the desire to manipulate circumstances to their advantage, with little to no regard for the consequences to others. One of the most dangerous aspects of deception without remorse is its ability to erode trust. Trust is the foundation upon which all relationships, whether personal, professional, or societal, are built. When someone deceives without guilt, they not only break the trust of those around them, but also contribute to a broader erosion of faith in people and institutions. Such individuals rarely apologize or feel the weight of their lies, and even when caught, they may continue to justify their actions or deny responsibility. This creates a toxic environment where honesty becomes suspect, and the truth is seen as something malleable, subject to manipulation. Over time, this can lead to a societal atmosphere of skepticism and paranoia, where individuals are constantly on guard, unsure of who they can trust. The psychological mechanism behind this behavior is often rooted in a lack of empathy or moral awareness. In some cases, individuals who deceive without remorse may possess a personality disorder, such as narcissism or sociopathy, that skews their perception of right and wrong. They may view others as mere pawns in their game, tools to be used and discarded without emotional consequence. For them, deception becomes a means of survival, a strategy to maintain control or achieve their desires. In more extreme cases, such individuals may be entirely indifferent to the suffering they cause, seeing their lies as necessary stepping stones toward their own success. This lack of remorse for deception can also be compounded by external influences, such as a culture that rewards dishonesty. In many industries or sectors, from politics to business, there can be an unspoken expectation to deceive in order to climb the ranks or outmaneuver competitors. In such environments, deceit becomes normalized, and the idea of feeling remorse for a lie becomes an antiquated notion. In fact, the very act of deceiving may be seen as a sign of cleverness or strategic thinking, further entrenching the cycle of dishonesty. However, the long-term effects of deception without remorse are rarely beneficial, even for those who initially seem to gain from it. While they may win short-term victories, such victories are often hollow, built on fragile foundations of lies. The more one deceives, the more one becomes trapped in their own fabrications, losing sight of the truth and becoming enslaved by the need to maintain their false narrative. This can lead to internal conflict, anxiety, and a loss of self-respect. In the end, the deceiver is left isolated, surrounded by false relationships built on deception, and disconnected from any true sense of authenticity. In conclusion, deception without remorse is a corrosive force, one that has far-reaching consequences for both individuals and society. It reveals a profound disconnection from the moral framework that binds human beings together. While some may find temporary success through deceit, the long-term impact is often devastating, leading not only to a loss of trust and genuine connection, but also to the erosion of one's own integrity. True success, built on honesty and respect, remains elusive to those who deceive without conscience, as they are bound by the chains of their own lies. Number 5. The endless game of manipulation. In a world where power dynamics often shift in subtle, complex ways, the endless game of manipulation plays out on the grand stage of human interaction. It is a game of chess, where every piece moves with deliberate intent, yet the rules remain unspoken, fluid, and often deceptive. Manipulation, in its many forms, is rooted in the desire to control, influence, and bend reality to suit one's needs or desires. It thrives in relationships, politics, business, and even in the daily exchanges between individuals. On the surface, the game might seem harmless, even beneficial. Persuasion, after all, is a common tool used in negotiations and social influence. However, when taken to extremes, manipulation becomes an insidious force, undermining trust and eroding authenticity. At the heart of this game is the desire for power. Power doesn't always manifest as dominance or physical control. It can also appear as the ability to shape perceptions, emotions, and behaviors. Manipulation often operates in the shadows, hidden behind charming smiles, promises, or even empathy. A manipulator doesn't simply ask for what they want. They subtly plant ideas, guide decisions, and create circumstances where their objectives seem inevitable. In relationships, this manifests as emotional manipulation, where one party uses guilt, fear, or flattery to exploit the vulnerabilities of the other. At work, it can look like strategic office politics, where individuals align themselves with the right people, spread rumors, or play to the insecurities of their colleagues to climb the corporate ladder. This game isn't always a conscious choice for the manipulator. Many times, individuals engage in manipulative behavior out of habit, insecurity, or a learned pattern from past experiences. They may manipulate to avoid confrontation, protect their interests, or preserve their image. What begins as a small adjustment, a white lie, a half-truth, can snowball into more elaborate schemes, creating webs of deceit that are difficult to escape. The manipulator often rationalizes their actions, believing that the end justifies the means or that their manipulation is in the best interest of all parties involved. But the reality is that manipulation distorts reality, reshaping interactions to serve an agenda rather than fostering genuine connections. The consequences of this game can be far-reaching. While manipulation may provide short-term gains, it often leaves long-term damage. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it is incredibly difficult to rebuild. The victim of manipulation may feel betrayed, confused, and powerless, which can lead to a breakdown in communication, fractured relationships, and a pervasive sense of isolation. In political and business spheres, manipulation can create toxic environments, where transparency and honesty take a back seat to expediency and self-interest. This not only damages individual relationships, but can also weaken entire systems, leading to corruption, exploitation, and social inequality. Moreover, the manipulative game becomes even more dangerous when it is normalized in society. When manipulation is seen as a necessary tool for success, it perpetuates a culture of deceit, where authenticity is undervalued and human connection is viewed as a transaction. People begin to expect manipulation from others and adopt it as a defense mechanism, thus reinforcing the cycle. In this endless game, both the manipulator and the manipulated lose. One sacrifices their integrity, while the other becomes a pawn in a game they never signed up for. Breaking free from the endless game of manipulation requires self-awareness, honesty, and a commitment to transparency. It demands the courage to resist the temptation to control others and the wisdom to recognize when someone else is attempting to manipulate you. True power lies not in bending others to your will, but in respecting their autonomy and fostering relationships built on mutual trust and respect. Only then can the cycle of manipulation be broken and a more genuine open world emerge, one where the game is no longer played. Number 6. The control obsession. The control obsession is a pervasive and often destructive tendency that dominates the lives of many individuals. At its core, it stems from a deep desire to maintain dominance over one's environment, relationships, and even one's own emotions and thoughts. This obsession with control arises from various factors including past experiences, a fear of the unknown, insecurity, or the simple human urge to seek order and predictability in an unpredictable world. People who are obsessed with control often find themselves caught in a cycle of perfectionism, constantly trying to micromanage every detail of their lives to ensure everything aligns with their expectations. This constant striving for control may manifest in different areas such as personal relationships, work, finances, or even physical appearance. The fear of uncertainty can drive people to take extreme measures to eliminate unpredictability, but in doing so, they limit their ability to embrace spontaneity and flexibility. Ironically, in their attempts to secure their world, those obsessed with control often create unnecessary stress and anxiety, as they are forever trying to anticipate and manage every potential outcome. This desire for control also creates a disconnect from reality, where individuals become so focused on controlling what they can that they neglect to accept the parts of life that are beyond their grasp. This lack of acceptance can result in frustration, anger, and a sense of helplessness when things inevitably do not go as planned. Relationships are often the hardest hit area when control becomes an obsession. People with control issues may seek to dominate their partners, family members, or friends, attempting to influence their choices, actions, and even their feelings. This can lead to tension, resentment, and a breakdown of trust, as others may feel suffocated or manipulated. In many cases, the need for control is rooted in an underlying fear of vulnerability. People may become fixated on maintaining power over their relationships because the idea of surrendering control, even in the face of love and mutual respect, feels too risky. However, in the long run, these controlling behaviors can alienate those they care about and create isolation and loneliness. The workplace is another environment where control obsession is often evident. In highly competitive or demanding fields, individuals may develop the habit of trying to control every aspect of their tasks, colleagues, and even outcomes. While a strong work ethic and attention to detail are valuable traits, an unhealthy obsession with control can lead to burnout, strained teamwork, and the inability to delegate tasks effectively. This type of behavior also stifles creativity and innovation, as those obsessed with control may struggle to embrace new ideas or methods that challenge their established way of doing things. In addition, these individuals may struggle to adapt to change or cope with failures, further reinforcing their need for control as a defense mechanism against vulnerability. Mental health is profoundly impacted by control obsession, as individuals often experience anxiety, depression, or stress due to their overwhelming need to keep everything in check. Ironically, the more control they try to exert, the more out of control they often feel. The anxiety that arises from constantly trying to control everything can lead to physical symptoms, such as headaches, digestive issues, and fatigue. Furthermore, perfectionism and an unrelenting focus on control can fuel feelings of inadequacy or failure when goals are not met, leading to self-criticism and a negative self-image. Ultimately, the control obsession is a double-edged sword. While it may offer temporary relief or a sense of security, it can also hinder personal growth, limit relationships, and prevent individuals from enjoying life's natural flow. Learning to let go of the need to control every aspect of existence is a difficult but necessary step toward living a more fulfilling and peaceful life. Embracing uncertainty, surrendering to the unpredictability of life, and trusting in the process are key to overcoming the control obsession and finding true freedom. Number 7. The blame-shifting mastermind. In a world where accountability and responsibility are increasingly valued, there exists a cunning breed of individuals who thrive on manipulating circumstances to escape blame. These individuals, often known as the blame-shifting masterminds, are experts at redirecting responsibility and guilt onto others, all while avoiding any consequences themselves. Their actions are calculated, precise, and often disguised in such a way that even the most observant may fail to see through their strategies. They understand human psychology deeply, exploiting people's weaknesses, emotions, and social norms to maintain their facade of innocence. At the core of a blame-shifting mastermind is an unshakable sense of self-preservation. Their primary objective is to maintain their status, reputation, or position at all costs. They are often charismatic and persuasive, able to charm others into believing their version of events, even when the truth is far more complicated. Their greatest strength lies in their ability to control narratives and manipulate perceptions. By carefully crafting their responses and actions, they create a smokescreen that obscures their role in any negative situation. Whether it's a failed project at work, a broken relationship, or a family dispute, these individuals are adept at ensuring that they are never the one who ends up with the blame. One of the most powerful tools in the blame-shifting mastermind's arsenal is the use of diversion. Instead of directly confronting their own mistakes, they deflect the focus onto someone else, usually a target who is vulnerable or less adept at defending themselves. This target might be a subordinate, a family member, or even a close friend, someone who trusts them enough to believe their side of the story. The mastermind will twist facts, use half-truths, and exaggerate details to make the victim appear responsible for the failure or mistake. This tactic is often effective because the victim, not fully aware of the mastermind's manipulations, is left scrambling to explain themselves or defend their actions. Moreover, blame-shifting masterminds often rely on gaslighting to further distort the truth. Gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation where the mastermind makes the target question their own perception of reality, is a powerful technique in the blame-shifter's repertoire. They will deny things they said or did, make the other person feel crazy for questioning them, or even turn the situation around entirely by accusing the target of being the real perpetrator of the wrongdoing. In doing so, the mastermind casts doubt on the victim's memory and judgment, making it easier for the blame to shift in their favor. These individuals also excel at creating situations that favor their narratives. They may engineer events to unfold in a way that paints them in a favorable light, ensuring that when things go wrong, they can immediately point to the actions of others as the cause. By controlling circumstances behind the scenes, the blame-shifting mastermind can appear as though they were simply an innocent bystander, caught up in the chaos of someone else's making. They use their understanding of group dynamics to pit people against one another, thereby creating confusion and further distancing themselves from any responsibility. It's important to note that while blame-shifting masterminds are highly effective at evading accountability, their actions often come with long-term consequences. The people they manipulate may eventually recognize the pattern and begin to withdraw their trust. Relationships begin to erode as friends, family, or colleagues start to see through the ruse. The mastermind may find that their web of lies becomes too complicated to manage, and the pressure of maintaining the illusion becomes unbearable. In the end, their need to avoid blame might lead to their own downfall, as the very fabric of their carefully constructed image unravels under the weight of truth. In conclusion, the blame-shifting mastermind is a complex and dangerous figure who thrives on the manipulation of others to avoid responsibility. They use tactics such as diversion, gaslighting, and the manipulation of circumstances to create an alternate reality where they are never at fault. While their methods may work in the short term, the eventual unraveling of their deceptions serves as a reminder that truth, no matter how well hidden, often finds a way to emerge. Number 8. Finding joy from your pain. Pain is often seen as an enemy, something to be avoided or eradicated at all costs. It is a natural human instinct to run from suffering, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological. Yet, in the heart of pain, there exists an opportunity that many fail to recognize: the potential to find joy. The path to joy through pain is not immediate, nor is it simple, but it is possible for those who are willing to explore the depths of their suffering with openness and courage. First, it is important to acknowledge that pain is a universal experience. Everyone faces hardship at some point in their lives. It could come in the form of a loss, a betrayal, a failure, or even the weight of unfulfilled dreams. No one is exempt from pain. However, it is not the pain itself that defines us, but how we choose to respond to it. Pain can break us, yes, but it can also shape us in ways that lead to profound personal growth. The key to finding joy from pain lies in acceptance. Often, we resist pain because it feels uncomfortable or unfair, and we fight against it. But by resisting, we prolong our suffering. When we stop fighting and simply allow ourselves to feel the pain, to experience it without judgment, we open the door to healing. Acceptance does not mean giving up. Rather, it means acknowledging that pain is a part of the human experience, and that through it, we can gain valuable insights about ourselves and the world around us. In this acceptance, we can begin to shift our perspective. Pain, though agonizing, can act as a catalyst for change. It pushes us to question our beliefs, our priorities, and our relationships. When life knocks us down, we often realize what truly matters, what is worth fighting for, and what needs to be let go of. Through this process of reevaluation, we begin to shed the parts of ourselves that no longer serve us. We grow stronger, more resilient, and more compassionate. We come to understand that pain is not something to be feared, but something that can help us evolve into better versions of ourselves. Moreover, pain can deepen our capacity for empathy. When we experience hardship, we become more attuned to the suffering of others. We realize that no one is immune, and this shared vulnerability creates a bond between us. We can offer a listening ear, a word of encouragement, or a simple gesture of kindness to those who are struggling. In helping others through their pain, we paradoxically help ourselves. The act of giving, of offering compassion, can bring a deep sense of fulfillment and joy, as it allows us to connect with others on a profound level. Another way to find joy in pain is by reframing our narrative. Instead of seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance, we can choose to view our pain as a teacher. Every experience of suffering holds within it the seeds of wisdom. What has this pain taught you about yourself? What strength have you discovered that you didn't know you had? How has your pain opened your eyes to new possibilities or new paths in life? By shifting the way we perceive pain, we can find meaning in the struggle, and meaning is often the foundation for true joy. Finally, joy is not the absence of pain, but the ability to experience happiness despite it. It is the ability to laugh, to love, to feel gratitude even when life is difficult. It is the understanding that while pain is a part of the journey, it does not have to be the defining element of our story. In every moment, there is the potential for joy to coexist with pain. It is in the small, everyday moments, the warmth of a hug, the beauty of a sunset, the satisfaction of a personal achievement, that we find joy even when the world feels heavy. In conclusion, pain is an unavoidable part of life, but it does not have to overshadow our joy. Through acceptance, reframing, empathy, and a shift in perspective, we can transform our pain into a source of growth and fulfillment. By learning to find joy in the midst of our suffering, we unlock a deeper, more resilient version of ourselves. And in doing so, we find that joy is not something that comes after pain, but something that can be discovered within it. Number 9, isolation. A silent weapon. Isolation is often an invisible force, subtly creeping into the lives of individuals, seeping into their minds and hearts. It is not merely the absence of people around, but a deeper, more insidious form of disconnect that can erode a person's sense of self. Unlike physical or emotional abuse, isolation operates quietly, almost imperceptibly, but its effects can be just as devastating, if not more so. It is a weapon that strikes at the core of human nature, the need for connection. Whether self-imposed or inflicted by external forces, isolation creates an emotional and psychological prison that can be difficult to escape from. At first, isolation might seem like a relief, a break from the noise and pressure of social life. It may be chosen out of a desire for solitude or a need to step away from the chaos of the world. However, over time it begins to eat away at one's mental health. The initial relief gives way to feelings of loneliness and emptiness. With no one to talk to or share experiences with, the mind begins to spiral, often sinking into a place of despair. Thoughts of worthlessness or inadequacy start to take root, and without external validation, these thoughts can grow unchecked. The effect of isolation on mental health is profound. Research has shown that prolonged isolation can lead to depression, anxiety, and even suicidal thoughts. Humans are inherently social beings, and the lack of interaction with others can cause a person to question their very identity. The absence of meaningful connections distorts one's sense of reality, and without a support system, problems become magnified. In times of isolation, it is easy to believe that one's struggles are insurmountable, that there is no one to turn to for help. As the isolation continues, it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. The more isolated someone becomes, the less likely they are to reach out for help, and the deeper they sink into their own despair. Isolation also has a profound impact on self-esteem. When people are isolated from others, they may begin to feel invisible or insignificant. Without validation from friends, family, or peers, one's sense of self-worth diminishes. The lack of social interaction, which is a key component of human happiness and fulfillment, creates a void that cannot easily be filled. This leads to a decline in confidence, as individuals may start to internalize negative beliefs about themselves. They may feel as though they have no value or place in the world, especially if they begin to feel rejected or abandoned by those around them. But perhaps one of the most dangerous aspects of isolation is its ability to be weaponized. In abusive relationships or toxic environments, isolation is often used as a method of control. Abusers may isolate their victims from their friends, family, and support networks to ensure that they are dependent on the abuser. This form of manipulation can make the victim feel trapped, unable to escape, as they begin to believe that no one else cares or will help them. It is a form of psychological warfare that can leave deep scars, long after the physical wounds have healed. In society at large, isolation is often an invisible epidemic. In the modern world, where technology allows us to be constantly connected, many people feel more isolated than ever. Social media can create an illusion of connection, but it often highlights the gaps between real human interaction and superficial online presence. People may feel more alone than ever, surrounded by a digital crowd that doesn't truly see them or understand them. The rise of individualism and the pressures of modern life have created a culture where many people are struggling with feelings of loneliness and alienation, even when they are surrounded by others. Ultimately, isolation is a silent weapon that can destroy lives in ways that are not immediately visible to the outside world. It is an internal battle that can take years to overcome, if it is ever truly overcome at all. Breaking free from isolation requires not only a recognition of the damage it causes, but also a commitment to seeking connection and rebuilding one's support network. It may involve reaching out for help, forging new bonds, or rekindling old relationships. But most importantly, it involves realizing that human connection is not just a luxury but a vital necessity for mental and emotional well-being. Number 10. The irredeemable soul. The concept of the irredeemable soul is a powerful, haunting one that explores the limits of morality, redemption, and the human spirit. It suggests that there are individuals so entrenched in their vices, so consumed by their darkness, that there is no hope for salvation or transformation. This idea raises profound philosophical and existential questions about the nature of human nature and whether anyone, regardless of their actions, can ever truly be beyond the possibility of redemption. In this sense, the irredeemable soul is often depicted as a being who has crossed certain boundaries, whose deeds have weighed so heavily upon their essence that their moral compass no longer functions, and they cannot return to a state of grace. In literature and philosophy, this notion is often explored through the lens of personal responsibility. The irredeemable soul is someone who has repeatedly chosen evil or selfishness, turning their back on the potential for growth or change. Their choices are so deeply ingrained that they become part of their identity, their very essence. This might be someone who, over a lifetime, has made a series of decisions that have hurt others, but whose actions are so systematic and deliberate that they cannot claim ignorance or a lack of awareness. For these individuals, redemption is impossible, not because it is unattainable, but because they reject it, resist it, and no longer recognize the value of seeking it. They have come to believe that they are beyond salvation, that they are irreparably broken. The irredeemable soul is often associated with moral corruption. These are individuals who, perhaps through years of emotional, mental, or physical torment, have become desensitized to human suffering and have turned to actions that betray any remaining sense of empathy or kindness. There is a deliberate cruelty in their behavior, one that knows no remorse. Yet, even in this seemingly hopeless situation, the question arises: is anyone truly beyond redemption? Philosophers such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Friedrich Nietzsche have grappled with this notion, suggesting that even the most lost souls can change if they face themselves honestly and decide to break free from their destructive patterns. In religious and spiritual contexts, the idea of an irredeemable soul is often seen as a challenge to the concept of divine mercy. Many belief systems hold that no one is beyond redemption if they genuinely seek forgiveness or redemption. The irredeemable soul in these systems becomes a symbol of the human tendency to reject divine grace. In Christian theology, for instance, even the most sinful person can find salvation if they repent and accept God's mercy. However, the notion of an irredeemable soul challenges this idea, posing the question of whether some people can ever truly repent, or whether their rejection of good has been so complete that even divine grace cannot reach them. This idea is particularly poignant when it comes to the psychological aspect of the irredeemable soul. Human beings are capable of profound self-deception and compartmentalization. Someone who has committed unspeakable acts might be able to live in denial, convincing themselves that they are justified, that their actions were necessary, or that they were victims of circumstance. In such cases, the irredeemable soul is not necessarily beyond redemption due to an inherent flaw, but because they are unable to confront the truth of their actions, and thus can never initiate the process of healing and transformation. Ultimately, the irredeemable soul is a profound symbol of the limits of human will and choice. It reflects the darker side of the human condition, where the capacity for evil, indifference, and self-destruction can render someone unreachable, not because the possibility for change is absent, but because the individual is so resistant to it. Yet even in this bleak view, there remains a glimmer of hope, that redemption is always a choice, and even the irredeemable soul can, in theory, choose to change, if only they are willing to recognize their need for transformation. Whether such a soul ever makes that choice is, however, left to the imagination. So there you have it. 10 evident signs that may indicate an evil person in your midst, along with Stoic insights to protect your peace of mind. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step to guarding yourself against toxic influences. Remember, the Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, our reactions and choices. While we can't change others, we can choose how to respond and protect our inner tranquility. Stay vigilant, stay grounded, and always be mindful of the people you allow into your life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on how to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and strength. Thanks for watching, and take care.